Hey everyone, it's Alex and welcome back to another Flyball Friends interview. Today I have Emily Getty with us, and you know what? If you guys are new here, make sure you hit that subscribe button and make sure you hit that notification bell so that you get the notifications when they come up. With the more videos, you don't want to miss any. Now let's get right into our interview with Emily. Alright, thank you Emily so much for being here today. I'm glad you could take time out of your day to be here with me. If you could tell us a little bit about yourself.
Thank you for having me on. My name's Emily Getty, and we live in North Carolina. We have lived in a couple different states throughout the last 20 or so years. So we are currently in North Carolina and enjoying it very much. So we play, and I say we because my family plays flyball as well, my husband and our two kids. So we play on the team for fun. And they've been around for ages. I don't even know how long they've been around at this point, but we really enjoy being in North Carolina and hanging out and having a good time on for fun. So we currently have 4 dogs. We have a 13-and-a-half-year-old border staffy named Fly. She's retired from flyball. We have a 9-and-a-half-year-old staffy border jack mix named Rico, and we have a 6-and-a-half-year-old border whippet named Ion, and then we have an 8-month-old border whippet named Helix. So those are our 4 dogs, and obviously Rico and Ion are playing currently, but the puppy's still a puppy, and Fly is enjoying somewhat begrudgingly enjoying retirement. We have been racing or playing flyball since 2001. So it's been a while.
Yeah.
We enjoy it. We have a good time doing it. Except for now, our long, of course, hiatus that no one's playing any flyball right now.
Yeah.
But no, my day job is a professor of biology and microbiology at a local college.
Cool, that's awesome. And what got you playing flyball?
So, kind of a funny story. We had my first adult dog was a half beagle, half we didn't know what she was. She was just like free to a good home, and we knew the mother was a beagle and the father was whatever came along, I guess. So she's playing in my parents' backyard, and my mom is like, she's so fast, you have to get her into something. And, I laugh now thinking about a beagle being fast, but, so I forget, I was watching like ESPN2 or something one day, and I saw flyball, and I was like, oh my gosh, this looks really cool. And so I looked up the closest place to, closest club to play flyball. And luckily we lived in Pennsylvania for most of my life. And so in Pennsylvania, flyball was a thing at that point. And so we started going to training classes, and that's pretty much how we got sucked into flyball.
And the rest is history.
Yeah.
Okay, so now when you started like actually going to tournaments and stuff, or maybe even just like when you were doing practicing when you first started, was there a dog out there that really got you hooked on the sport?
Oh, there's been so many dogs over that period of time. But if I were to think of one dog that kind of stood out in my mind right when we first started that we were in awe of, you go to the tournaments and you're like, oh my gosh, and you're watching that dog run, I would have to say Deb Norman's Shiner. She was just such an amazing dog. Everybody kind of would, go over and just watch her run, and how smooth she was, and, fast she was. So that would probably be the dog that I always looked for.
Awesome. That's cool. And what do you guys do for practice? How often do you guys usually practice?
It's really mixed. We're a very, very large club. So Fur Fun is really a lot of members, and we are located in several states. So, sometimes we end up having, kind of divisions of practice, like, a certain group will get together and practice. And it really just depends. We all do a lot of practicing, kind of on our own as well. So we'll do skills and conditioning and things like that at home. Occasionally we'll do little, classes, but we don't really ever get together as a big group and practice. It's difficult because, some of us are 4 or 5 hours apart from each other. So it does make it a little bit more difficult.
Awesome. Do you guys go to a lot of tournaments?
Yes. So we're fortunate now that, being in North Carolina, that we have the opportunity to go to, 1 or 2 tournaments a month, pretty much throughout the whole year. There's a little lull sometimes in the summer, but really we're really lucky because, we lived in Pennsylvania for a good chunk of time, and there were plenty of tournaments there. And then Phil, my husband, got relocated to Indiana for a while. And even though Can-Am is held in Indianapolis for the last several years, that is pretty much the only flyball tournament in Indiana. It's kind of sad because when we were in Indiana, it was so hard. We had to travel really, really far to play tournaments. And 4 hours was the minimum travel time for a tournament, except for Can-Am. So when we lived in Indiana, we had maybe 6 tournaments a year, maybe. And those were anywhere from 4 to 10 hours to drive. Yeah. We ended up going to Canada. We would go to Illinois, Iowa, all over. So it was difficult to play flyball there. And then when we moved to North Carolina, it is like most of our tournaments are 2.5 hours away max.
That's
pretty
lucky.
Right, super lucky. So, I feel super fortunate that we're able to play closer to home than, what we did in Indiana for 8 years or so.
For sure. And what's the farthest you've been for flyball?
Farthest we've been? Well, so we have been to Canada. We've been, kind of some of the states I mentioned before, but my husband, so Fur Fun went to the World Championships in France 2 years ago. So I didn't get to go because I was starting a new job. So I didn't get to go because my job was starting, but my husband and our dog Ion got to go to France to play with Fur Fun. And so I guess France is the farthest that my family's gone to play flyball. That was a great experience, for the team, for my husband, and it was a blast.
Awesome. Very jealous of that.
It was pretty cool. They ended up, Fur Fun ended up winning it, which was pretty awesome. And so, it was really sad because it got canceled this year. Understandably, it got canceled. And so hopefully we'll, be able to go back and next year, maybe.
For sure. So when you first started, what would be one of the more important things you first learned?
There's different, there's different aspects to flyball. So, yeah. There's of course the social aspect, the team aspect. There's not a lot of team dog sports out there. And being that it is a human team and a dog team and all of those have to mesh and work together, I think it's really important to, find a club or team that complements you that is, has matching goals.
Yeah.
And when you're first starting though, that never really sinks in. Like you're just brand new and you're just kind of like trying to learn all of the, little bits and pieces to racing and what your dog has to do. But once that settles out, I think it's really important to, have that compatibility between yourself and, the club that you join, because if you don't, then it's not fun. You don't have a fun experience.
That's right. It's not for fun.
No, it's not for fun. but it is. I mean, and people will, join a club and leave a club, and sometimes there's hurt feelings, but at the same time you need to find what fits you the best, because if you're not having a good time, what's the point? Like, why be miserable?
Very true. Very true. All right. So now, out of your whole racing career, is there a dog that stands out that you just enjoyed running, whether it was your own or maybe somebody else's?
I mean, it's always fun to run other people's dogs as well as your own. So, I mean, if we're talking about outside of my own dogs, that one's a difficult one. I would probably say for the rush value, the rush factor, I would probably say I got to run Homestar Runner a little bit, and he is a blast to run. He's exhausting to run, but he's a blast to run. He's fun. Out of our dogs, I mean, I really do like and enjoy running each of our dogs.
Yeah.
Different aspects about each one.
For sure.
Ion is a beast. He's a big border whippet, and he is a beast to run, but I love it. I love playing with him. I love his intensity. I will have to say, if I had to only pick one of my dogs, it would probably be Rico. Rico's our little height dog. And he's pretty close to my heart. They all are, but he's pretty close to my heart. And he's just perfect. He's easy to run. He runs at any position. He rolls with the punches. He rarely ever makes a mistake. So he is just, he's just super fun, to run. So if I had to pick one of mine.
Now, do you race one more than the other? And does your husband race one more than the other? And does your kid actually race a dog?
So yes, Fly. So when we got her, Phil, my husband, ran her for quite a while, but then we started. She's just a nice point and shoot dog. She's one of those you can hand to anybody. So we started transitioning the kids over to running her, and so kids had a blast running her for a while, and then when she retired, we started working the kids running Rico because he's a really easy dog to transition over. And there was a time when I couldn't be at Flyball. I know Jane McQuillan had mentioned I had a bout with cancer, so there was a point where I couldn't go to tournaments, and so our daughter Grace and son Noah got a chance to kind of run Rico more, because he's more of my kind of dog I typically run. Well, and then we always joke around because, so my husband, Phil, he was a judge for a while as well. And I kind of usually train the dogs and then hand them over to Phil, and then he runs them. He jokes around that he's a professional handler.
That's what I say about my wife. She trains them and I run them.
There you go, see? And so he's the professional handler. So I work with Ion mostly and then hand him over to Phil. And Ion is definitely Phil's dog. But if you see us at a tournament, often now it's a village to run Ion, because Phil will release him. Noah, our son, takes off and runs him down and back, because our son has way more energy than we do at this point. And then I will often catch him in the run back. Ion sometimes likes to spit his ball, but he doesn't spit it for me because I don't know, he just doesn't. So, often it's a little group effort to run them. Awesome. But we try to make them versatile and let them, have them be able to run for other people.
Cool. Now, that you haven't gone obviously everywhere, but is there a place that you would personally like to go, whether it's compete, train, or just watch?
I mean, I would love to go to, I didn't get to go to Europe, so I mean, that would be fun to go. I haven't been out west, on the west coast of the United States. I haven't been to see Flyball in Australia, which I think would be fun to do, besides, just going to Australia. But those areas would be, fun to explore and just see the slightly different, nuances, in each area.
Yeah, for sure. Now, what exactly do you like about playing Flyball?
Oh, I like a lot of things about Flyball. So, I mean, we do a little bit of, different sports and things like that. But I mean, Flyball is that team sport. Yeah. I like working with other people. We're all fairly competitive. But at the end of the day, if we're not having a good time with our dogs, then why bother doing it? So I like the team aspect. I like that you are depending on your teammates, as well as the team, the relationship between you and your dog, as well. So there's just and the social aspect is amazing as well. I mean, I love hanging out, hanging out with your friends and, having a good time.
For sure. So now, because you guys are where you are now, is there one specific team or maybe one person out there that you love racing against more than others?
I mean, locally, for a lot of our local tournaments, we have a blast running against so many people. Canine Kamikazes are super fun to run against. But when we go to like big tournaments or Can-Am or things like that, Animal Inn we have such a great time racing against them. They're so much fun. And when we lived in Indiana, we got to race against them a lot.
Yeah.
So we get to kind of have a blast and hang out, and they're just such a fun group of people to spend time with, hang out with, outside of the lanes as well as inside of the lanes. We're laughing, cheering each other on, high fives all around, that kind of thing. So we really enjoy that. Skid Marks is super fun too. They're a blast, to race against, and they're running super fast, which is awesome. So there's a lot of teams out there that are fun to race against. It's hard to narrow it down.
Fair enough. Okay, now what would be one of your earliest memories of Flyball?
I would probably say our first tournament, just trying to take in all the information. At your first tournament, you go to practice and you kind of get the gist of practice, and just going to the first tournament. So the first tournament I went to, my dog wasn't ready to run or anything like that yet. But just trying to learn, everything, all the, line judging and box judging and what's going on here and what's going on there and what all you need to do and where you need to stand, and, just trying to absorb all of those intricate details that, once you've been playing Flyball for a while, you take for granted. You take for granted the pattern of running down, turning around, running back, like just those things. So, I mean, that's probably, my earliest memory, and just trying to, take all of that information in the first time.
For sure.
I'm sure glad I didn't have a dog at the time.
I always say it's easier to learn flyball when you don't have your own dog and you can just learn the whole basics of it.
Absolutely. So like someone handing you a dog that's a what I call a point and shoot dog.
Yeah.
You know, they can almost release themselves. That's absolutely a great way. Because you don't have to worry about the dog, you can just worry about yourself.
That's right. All right, now what would be one of your favorite memories of flyball, whether it's on or off the racing lanes?
So I wasn't there, but when we won the world championship in France, that was amazing. But the one I was there for was when we, for fun, hit the 14s. So that was probably like the most exciting for me being there. You know, we had been teetering around it all weekend. We had been, you know, right at like 15-0 and 15-1, and it was just crazy. And so I was running Ion at the time because he was still pretty green and not super ready to hand over to Phil yet. So Phil was our coach, which always works so well when husband and wife, one's running and one's the coach, right? So he's coaching us, and he comes back and he starts telling me that my pass is too big and that I need to, you know, tighten up. Mm-hmm. And so we're kind of getting into it in the lane a little bit. And so I'm ticked off to no end, ticked off. And I'm like, fine. He thinks my pass is wide. He's going to see a tight pass. So that one, when I released him, because Ion ran anchor in that race. When I released him, I'm like, crap, that light's going off. He hit the box. I'm like, that light's still going to go off. Like, I didn't believe the light wasn't going to go off until he crossed the finish line. And then it was like 15-9-8, I think, is what we ended up running, or something like that. So it was amazing.
You mean 14-9-8?
Sorry, 14-9-8. What did I say?
15-9-8.
No, 14-9-8. You need to cut that out. 14-9-8. Yeah. It was crazy.
I'm jealous. We're trying really hard on our team to get there, and it's quite the foot to get there. So.
I know. It's a battle.
For sure. All right. Do you have any personal goals playing the sport?
Personal goals are always to try to get our dogs to be the best they can be. It doesn't matter to me what they run if I've tried to get them to, you know, do what they can do the best and safely. I'm a little neurotic about safety, and I just want them to be safe because one of the things I really want to have happen is have our dogs play as long as they can.
For sure. There's not enough time in the world that we get to spend with them, and we want to make sure we get all that time we can.
Exactly. And so Fly ended up kind of retiring earlier than I wanted her to because she had an injury, and to me it wasn't worth running her again and having her injure herself worse. So I just want them to play and have fun and do it safely.
Excellent. Okay, do you have anyone in flyball that you look up to as a mentor? Maybe it was when you first started or even now?
It's so hard. I really thought about that question a lot. So there have been so many people. I feel really, thankful that, we've had so many people to look up to, and, it's a hard question to answer because I feel like there's different categories. Like, I've looked up to people for how they carry themselves in the ring, for their attitude and, for their their kindness and helpfulness. I've looked up to so many people for training, and I think that's one of the really important takeaways that people need to remember, that it doesn't matter if you're a big name person in flyball. You don't have to be a big name person in flyball to come up with an interesting training take or a new training technique, or just some information and observation about some way that you're doing some sort of training.
Yep.
So I can't really narrow it down, because of course you have the big name trainers in flyball, but I've learned just as much from non-big name trainers in flyball. So I think it's always good to have an open mind, and kind of try different things. If it doesn't work, it doesn't work.
100%. That's good.
Yeah, I don't think it has to come from necessarily a big trainer.
Yeah, there's so many different ideas out there that it can be from even a pet person that doesn't know anything about flyball. They could have stumbled upon something that'll help somebody at some point. So
yeah, absolutely.
Okay, now you mentioned a couple things, but do you have any other hobbies other than playing flyball?
So we have kids and dogs, and we play flyball mostly, but we've played around with some up dog frisbee stuff. We've done a little bit of dock diving, but we like, kind of as a family, to we'll hang out at the beach a lot, and we'll kayak and stuff like that. But aside from that, it's pretty much all kids and kids sports and dog stuff. That's a lot of our weekend and the time we spend. So
fair enough. All right, so now, is there anything that you would recommend to someone starting out in flyball?
So for someone starting out, I would probably say, find your closest, club that is convenient for you. If you have the opportunity to have numerous clubs around you, then by all means, go visit all of them. And like I said earlier on, whatever fits you, fits your personality, what your goals are. Try to match your goals to the club's goals that wherever you're looking, because if your goals don't match, it might not happen right away, but you're gonna have friction, and you're gonna you have to find where you fit, and I think that's one of the biggest things. I'm another one that's really big on positive reinforcement, and have fun with your dog, and you can train your dog with positive reinforcement, and rather than any other training methods.
For sure. Okay, so now the fun question. I would like you to challenge somebody not on your team to do an interview with me. Do you have any idea who that would be?
So I thought about this one as well. I think I am going to challenge Teresa Pownall on Canine Kamikazes. She is a wonderful team captain, and she, I think, would have fun with it.
Excellent. Okay, well, thank you so much for nominating. I will hopefully reach out soon and get them on the channel. Other than that, I don't have anything else on my end. So I just want to say thank you again for being here with me. I'm so glad that I got to meet you finally. I've heard so much about you, so it's awesome to actually finally put a face to it. And hopefully at some point we'll see each other on the racing lanes. Thanks so much, Emily. I'm glad that all this worked out and that I could get you on the channel. Now, if you guys are still haven't subscribed, make sure that you're subscribing. We need to grow this channel as fast and quick as possible to get some new people on this channel so that Flyball can keep growing. You know, it's been a long stretch, and hopefully with all your guys' support so far that it's been doing amazing, so let's keep that going. So hit that subscribe button, hit that like button, and don't forget to hit that notification bell just to make sure that our views keep going and you guys get all the latest videos and as soon as they come up. And until next time, see you then.